Good evening. Tonight, an urgent and deeply troubling question is being asked inside the halls of the Pentagon, and the answer could mean life or death for American soldiers. The most powerful military force on the planet, refusing to sign a deal that could save the lives of its own troops. The technology exists. It has been tested and proven on the most brutal battlefield of the modern era. The partner is willing, even desperate, to share it. And yet, the Trump administration is hesitating. The delay in signing a major drone agreement with Ukraine is now actively slowing down the United States military in an area where it is already trying desperately to play catch-up. The consequences of that delay are not abstract. 6 American troops are already dead, killed in Kuwait by an Iranian drone. Experts warn that more could follow, and they are pointing directly at Washington's inexplicable inaction. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been pushing, publicly and persistently, for a deal. Talks between the two nations have stretched back to at least September of last year. Yet despite the passage of months, despite the mounting death toll, and despite the repeated urging of Kiev, the United States has so far refused to embrace Ukraine as a full partner in its drone development. The frustration on the Ukrainian side is palpable. The confusion among American defense experts is growing. President Zelensky took to the social platform X last Sunday to post a lengthy and urgent message. In it, he called for what he described as a bilateral drone deal, a big framework document between the United States and Ukraine. The Ukrainian leader's plea was not made from a position of weakness. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022, Ukraine has made astounding and world-leading strides in drone warfare. It has developed technologies, tactics, and a rapid production ecosystem that no other nation, including the United States, has been able to replicate. Kiev is offering Washington access to a battlefield-tested revolution in military affairs, and Washington, inexplicably to many, is biding its time. The contradiction at the heart of this story is stark. Senior Pentagon officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, have publicly lauded Kiev's drone abilities. Driscoll, testifying before the Senate Armed Services Committee last month, praised Ukraine's integrated drone operating system in glowing terms. He stated that it fully integrates every single drone, every sensor, and every shooting platform into just one single network. Ours does not. That is a stunning admission from a senior American defense official. The Ukrainians have built something the United States military does not possess, and yet, despite that recognition, the full partnership remains unsigned. Experts are now warning that this delay is potentially kneecapping the U.S. military at a critical moment. Rebecca Heinrichs, a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute think tank, expressed bewilderment at the administration's reluctance. "I don't know what the hang-up would be in denying ourselves the ability to take advantage of that. I don't think there's any good reason," she said. Heinrichs, who has visited Ukraine and witnessed the country's drone ecosystem firsthand, added that defense officials she spoke with were deeply impressed. One told her just how incredible Ukraine was in drone warfare and drone capabilities, and how this is clearly something that the United States should take advantage of. The question that Heinrichs and others cannot answer is why that advantage is not being seized. Similarly, Michael O'Hanlon, a senior fellow with the Brookings Institution, said he was frankly mystified by the absence of a deal. This is particularly puzzling given that the United States has already been trying to learn from Ukraine. American teams have been sent directly to the country to study developments on the ground. The knowledge transfer has begun, but the formal framework that would unlock its full potential remains stalled. O'Hanlon offered a possible explanation, one that points directly at the White House. Perhaps there is a procedural problem holding things up, or perhaps White House politics and directives are doing so, given that President Trump remains unpredictable in his degree of commitment to the Ukraine cause, he said. The assessment from one former official who spoke on the condition of anonymity was more blunt and more damning. This official called the hold-up lethargy on the part of the Trump administration, combined with what they described as a certain amount of hostility towards Ukraine coming from the very top. That hostility is a matter of public record. President Trump and President Zelensky maintain a relationship that can only be described as tenuous. The American president has repeatedly voiced his view that the Ukrainian leader is an obstacle to a peace deal between Kiev and Moscow, even more so than Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Trump has largely stopped U.S. military aid for Ukraine in his second term. He often praises Putin as smart and a strong leader, while regularly insulting Ukrainian officials. The low point came in February of 2025, when President Trump berated President Zelensky directly in the Oval Office. The former official revealed that President Trump and President Zelensky did discuss a potential drone deal in very positive ways when they met in September on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. But since that meeting, there has been little to no follow-up. Those talks didn't suggest any substantial energy on the U.S. side, the official stated. As we pause here, we have laid out the mystery, a life-saving technology on offer, a willing partner, and an administration that appears unable or unwilling to say yes. When we return, we will examine the deadly cost of this delay, measured in American lives already lost, and what President Zelensky is now demanding in public. Stay with us. Welcome back. Before the break, we detailed the growing mystery surrounding the Trump administration's refusal to sign a major drone deal with Ukraine. Despite Kyiv's world-leading capabilities and the public admiration of senior Pentagon officials, we now turn to the human cost of this delay, the specific terms of the proposed agreement, and the stark reality that American troops are already dying from the very threats that Ukrainian expertise could help neutralize. The urgency of this situation cannot be overstated. America's ability to compete in the drone race has taken on a deadly new dimension with the ongoing war against Iran. Iranian forces have used kamikaze drones to devastating and lethal effect against United States allies across the Middle East. While the majority of these incoming drones have been intercepted by Gulf countries and American forces, those that have managed to evade air defenses have caused major infrastructure damage and, tragically, death. The most painful example came in March, when 6 American troops were killed in Kuwait by an Iranian long-range one-way attack drone known as a Shahed. 6 American families received the worst possible news, and the weapon that killed their loved ones is strikingly similar to what Russia has been using against Ukraine for years. This connection is critical to understanding what is at stake. The Iranian-designed attack drones that threaten American forces and their allies are not unfamiliar to the Ukrainians. Kyiv has been facing these same types of threats, learning how to counter them, how to intercept them, and how to adapt in real time. Following the attack in Kuwait that killed the 6 American soldiers, the United States quickly put out a request for help. Ukraine responded immediately, sending interceptor drones and a team of drone experts to protect U.S. military bases in Jordan. President Zelensky confirmed this deployment in an interview with the New York Times in March. The assistance was provided without the formal framework of a major bilateral deal, a stopgap measure that underscored both the value of Ukrainian expertise and the absurdity of not having a permanent partnership in place. The consequences of the delay have drawn sharp and increasingly angry criticism. Phillips O'Brien, a professor of strategic studies at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, issued a blistering assessment on the social platform X. The U.S. is putting its own troops in danger by not working as closely as possible with the Ukrainians on drone development, O'Brien wrote. He then drew a direct line to the president's relationship with Moscow, adding, "To stay close to Putin, Trump is showing once again how little he cares about U.S. soldiers. The charge is as serious as it is direct, that political considerations are being placed above the safety of American military personnel." President Zelensky has taken his case directly to the American public. Appearing on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday, he confirmed that Kyiv has already agreed to allow the United States to test and train with its drones. The access has been granted, yet the two sides have still not signed what he termed the big document. Following the broadcast, he reinforced his message on social media. "I think this cooperation can be huge, the most powerful of its kind in the world," he wrote. "We need to negotiate, not just talk about it. Take the necessary steps and do it as quickly as possible. For this, we need President Trump to say yes." The Ukrainian president also highlighted the complementary strengths each nation brings, noting that American companies possess advanced artificial intelligence technologies that Ukraine lacks, while Ukraine offers battlefield experience that cannot be replicated in a laboratory. A deal in some form does appear to be in the works. Bloomberg reported on May 19 that the United States is seeking access to Ukrainian drone technology and intellectual property rights as part of a proposed defense cooperation agreement. As part of that arrangement, currently awaiting approval, the Pentagon reportedly wants to test Ukrainian drones and electronic warfare systems that could eventually be purchased by the U.S. military. The Department of Defense also seeks access to technologies and possibly intellectual property rights to allow Washington to replicate Ukrainian systems at home. When asked for comment on any current smaller deals or the holdup on a larger bilateral agreement, the Army referred questions to the Pentagon's press office, which declined to comment. What Ukraine has achieved in more than 4 years of war with Moscow is nothing short of remarkable. Kyiv has acquired a drone expertise that has allowed it to strike further and further across Russian borders, destroying Kremlin oil and military facilities, stopping Russia's battlefield gains, and even clawing back territory. Now the recognized world leader in drone warfare, Ukraine has, according to the former official who spoke anonymously, developed a truly ingenious circuit where the engineers producing the drones are in direct touch with the soldiers, usually for immediate feedback. Heinrichs elaborated on this unique capability. Ukrainians have figured out how to produce drones at a high speed, know how to operate them, and be iterative. And so they can learn from how the Russians are defending against them, how they can adapt them, not just in software, but how the operators pilot them, she said. Ukraine, out of sheer necessity, has created something akin to a drone industry. Heinrichs noted that the United States has simply not fully taken advantage of learning how they have been able to accomplish this against a peer adversary. The demand for Ukrainian expertise is not limited to the United States. President Zelensky revealed that his government has received calls from leaders in Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, all seeking aid in countering Iran's drones. A team of Ukrainian experts has been dispatched to the Middle East to help countries figure out how to best protect themselves. Ukraine, a non-NATO member, has likewise advised or plans to help train European allies on drone warfare, including Germany, Sweden, Poland, and the United Kingdom. The world is beating a path to Kyiv's door. The question that lingers, and that may determine the fate of American soldiers in the field, is why Washington remains so reluctant to walk through it. That is the latest on this developing. From all of us in the newsroom, good evening. That concludes our in-depth report on the Trump administration's stalled drone deal with Ukraine. To summarize, despite Ukraine's world-leading battlefield expertise and the public praise of senior Pentagon officials, a formal bilateral agreement remains unsigned. President Zelensky has publicly urged President Trump to say yes, warning that further delay is unnecessary and dangerous. 6 American troops have already been killed by Iranian drones, the very threat Ukrainian technology has proven to counter. As experts express bewilderment and frustration, the fundamental question remains: why is Washington refusing to seize a partnership that could save American lives? We will continue to follow this developing story. From all of us here in the newsroom, good evening.